everybody, I'm back with another commentary video. This time I'm doing the Flat Creek Disc Golf Course, which is really kind of a destination course here out in Central Texas, built on a winery. So it's really gorgeous scenery, and this is a John Hout course, and he always does a really great job with his courses. So they actually played a tournament. The pros came and played here a couple of years ago, so the coverage for that exists out on YouTube. But I think that this is a course that, even though open players can be challenged, it's also one that's accessible to players of all skill levels. And so I really enjoy this course a lot. It is a pay course, so you'll have to pay a green fee to come out here. But I think it's relatively affordable. So yeah, let's get right into it. The important thing on hole 1 is that you're going to need to be really straight and avoid all of these guardian trees right off the tee. And even right in the middle of the fairway, you've got guardian trees on either side. And it does open up a little bit on the right there. So I think the best way to play this is to basically hyzer flip something and get some late turn so that it will finish right down at the basket. Left-handed, I'm just going to go straight mid-range right up the middle and do my best to not fade at the end. So hole 2, for a left-handed player like me, I think the play is a power hyzer right down this straight line that the drone is going. Potentially for right-handed players, there's a big kind of hyzer bomb line to go around and over the top of everything. Otherwise, you could hyzer flip something the same line where the drone is going. Or even a straight flat power hyzer down the right side might work. There's a lot of options here. Hole 3 is going to have several interesting things going on. First irritating thing is going to be that clump of trees right off the tee box. So you're either going to have to pick the inside route or the outside route. And then as you're traversing the fairway, there's going to be a pond kind of here that you're going to have to throw over. So the ideal first shot is going to be somewhere down here in this landing zone, depending on your power. And then the second shot is going to play out to a peninsula, and the basket is going to be right on the edge of the water and guarded by a tree. So you got to be really careful that you don't skip off the side. But getting 3 here is definitely possible and not completely out of reach for anyone. Hole 4 is not a terribly difficult shot. It's relatively short, especially for this course. But right off the tee, you got to watch out for that cable holding up that pole there. That's going to be the biggest impediment to right-handed hyzer line. But then all that you have to really do is get around that one tree and find the basket. Left-handed players, you're either going to have to take a forehand, or there is a really skinny gap on the left side that I've used before. It's just a little bit of a risky gap to try to hit. But if you can, then it just makes this an easy hyzer approach. Alright, so hole 5 is a pretty open shot, so right-handed, left-handed doesn't really come into it. But mostly you're just trying to get about 400 feet of distance. It's a little bit uphill, and I guess right as you get up to the basket, there's a couple of guardian bushes. But they shouldn't be a huge problem for most people, especially coming in on a right-hand hyzer approach. So this is just mostly about distance and, to a degree, placement if you're trying to get the birdie. Okay, hole 6 is a triple mando. You can see there's a cable between those trees. You got to keep it under that cable and then inside these trees. Other than that, it's not a very difficult shot. You just keep it low and flat, something like a Firebird. If the tee is in the short placement, that's what this basket is right here. But there's also a long placement, and that's where this hole gets really crazy. So you might want to lay down something like a roller, or really try to keep something low and flat long. There's some logs out here in the distance, and you want to get as close to those logs as you can without going over, because that's out of bounds. And then for your second shot, you're aiming all the way down at that lone tree in the distance, but you really got to keep it off the left side of the fairway. Where those trees are, it drops off very quickly and you can lose a disc over there. So yeah, this is hole 6. It's pretty great actually, but there is a lot of treacherous stuff to watch out for. All right, hole 7 is a pretty wild hole, and one that I think is pretty challenging to get the birdie on, especially in the long position. So once again, like hole 6, there are 2 tee positions, and the drone really doesn't capture the short one very well. But if you look over on the left side right now, you can see it down at the bottom of the hill over there. That's where the short position is. It's reachable in 1. But the long position, you're going to have to get over these trees probably on your second shot. So your first shot's just going to be wherever you feel like you can get a comfortable shot for the second shot, whereas over these trees to a completely blind basket, and that's going to be an absolute bomb to get it all the way here. And so I have part of this hole, but I've never birdied this hole. I don't have that kind of distance. Hole 8 is another really good one. I just like this course a lot. You play from the long position on hole 8. You're going to start up at the top of the hill here, and you're going to be aiming to shoot all the way over this creek on your first shot. If you have any hope of getting a birdie, you're going to have to cross this creek. And once you cross the creek, you're going to make an almost 90-degree turn over to the left, and then you're going to have this big overhang tree to contend with. All right, from the long position, this counts as a par 5. So for your next shot, you really just want to take off as much distance as you can. I kind of like the roller play just because you have that tree to contend with, and it's all flat grass here. If the tee's in the short position, you can see it right over there on the left side. But for the long position, you're going to have to get over this creek. So your final shot is really just going to be a placement shot, so you can get up this hill and over the creek so that you can make your putt. All right, hole 9 is a little bit crazy because it's so tight, so low, and roller's not an option because of the creek. So you can either go right up the middle, but there's sort of a forehand line if you're going to go wide around the left side, but that one's pretty chancy. But mostly you just need to take a straight mid-range and do a slight hyzer flip low and flat up the gap. Hole 10 is another par 5. So really the most important thing on your first shot is just keep it straight down this fairway so that you can set up your next spot, which is going to be in the landing zone over here. There's kind of a crevice, I don't know what you call this, to deal with, that you really don't want to be in. You want to get up and around as far as you can into this field over here on your second shot, so that your third shot can be an approach up to the basket. But as you get close to it, you got to be very careful, because there is a drop off right behind the basket that goes straight into a creek. So getting to this hole in 3 shots is very precise, and then making that putt is also pretty dangerous. So you got to be real careful to get the birdie. The next 2 holes are pretty short. Hole 11, the main challenge of the hole is to hit this initial gap off the tee box, and then to avoid that one tree there on the right side. But other than that, it's a relatively straightforward hyzer line, maybe with kind of an overstable mid-range. You're just going to get right down the fairway and have it finish left to end up over by the basket. All right, hole 12, straight ahead in front of you, you can see the basket, and it is downhill, so that's probably the biggest challenge on this hole. You need to stay out of the tall grass right here. I actually think it plays this out of bounds, but even if it doesn't, you don't want to be there. But you should be able to execute this, just a simple putter shot, and have it drop right down at the basket and take your birdie. Hole 13 is another kind of interesting one with a pretty late low ceiling to contend with. So this is another interesting hole that you may want to consider trying to do a roller. There is a really wide open gap around the left side, but that's probably for left-handed players or if you have a really strong forehand. Otherwise, you're going to have to hyzer flip or even flat release something really low and flat, maybe with the fairway or something like that, to try to get to the basket in one. Hole 14 is a relatively soft par 4 because really all you have to do is just make a couple of 300-foot shots to reach the basket. I suppose somebody like Garrett Gurthie with truly elite distance can probably get there in one. But yeah, it's just a couple of 300-foot shots. You want to be a little bit careful as you get to the end because the basket is protected with a little bit of a low ceiling, and there is a drop off probably 20 or 30 feet behind the basket that'll take you down into a little creek or pond. So just be aware of that, but this is pretty soft par 4. Yeah, hole 15 is a hole that for me, I always find frustrating. You're going to have issues with that bush right off the tee on the right side. I've got similar but lesser issues with the tree on the left side. This is a mostly downhill shot just into an open field, so it should be straightforward, but I personally struggle with elevation, especially downhill. But yeah, other than that, it's a relatively straightforward shot that should be reachable in one if you know to play that kind of shot, and I just struggle with it. Yeah, the most important shot on hole 16 is definitely the first shot because it's pretty crowded here. You got to make it through this gap and then navigate your way around all of these low limbs. But you're just probably throwing a forehand so that you can get out from under all of these tree limbs out into the open field. Otherwise, I suppose roller might be an option. I personally would not throw a right hand backhand there. Once you're out in the field, it's just a relatively straightforward open shot out to the basket. However, the pond is right behind the basket, so you got to be careful that you're not skipping long or just overshooting it because you'll end up in the water. Hole 17, if you're right-handed, you want a forehand. And the reason I know that is because when James Conrad played the tournament here a couple of years ago, James Conrad threw a forehand on this hole and almost aced it. So Ricky Wysocki was actually kind of complaining about the hole because it's really, really easy, standard forehand hole. Of course, I'm left-handed, so I like it, and I've also aced it a couple times as well. But yeah, I don't really think that there's a backhand line to get there. All right, so hole 18, it's kind of the signature hole in my opinion because you have to play right over this pond and it's really gorgeous. The basket is actually going to be on the left side of the pond, but unless you're Garrett Gurthie, you probably aren't getting to the basket in one shot, so most regular folks are just going to play over the right side over here to set up the approach to the basket from this side of the pond. And it is OB anywhere other than on the green right there close to the basket, so there's no way to kind of inch up on the left side. But this is really straightforward. 2 shots to get to the basket, maybe emotionally uncomfortable, but not terribly difficult. And then you are on a little bit of a hill for your putt. All right, so that's Flat Creek. I think it's one of the most fun courses I've ever played, and it's really, really pretty. I guess I probably didn't say, but I think it's probably targeted around the advanced skill level. It's not quite, truly an open course, but there's a lot of great amenities. You can, of course, the wine there, and the lunch is really good. But I really like playing this style of course. It plays a little bit more like a traditional golf course and not necessarily just a, neighborhood park course. Um, and anyways, so yeah, Flat Creek. I hope you all enjoy it, and feel free to come out here anytime. They would love to have you, and it's definitely something you can tell your friends about.